part that they didn't get a chance to ask a question about during the class period. And so all of my classes, I record us going through the notes together. I record any of the notes that we go over or any questions that anybody has. And then I post it on the Google Classroom shortly after class. So usually within like 5 to 10 minutes of class being done, I'll upload the video and post it on the Google Classroom. And thanks, Annalisa. I'm glad that you find it helpful. I know a lot of people find it helpful, which is why I like to do it. And it literally only takes me pressing a button and posting on the classroom. So speaking of the Google Classroom, let's go ahead and jump into that. So the Google Classroom is going to be like our main hub, our IPC class. So I know for a lot of you guys, I recognize a lot of you, you've taken classes with me or here at the Excel Center before. For those of you, if it's been a little while or you're still getting kind of used to the online atmosphere, then hopefully today will be super helpful. So on our Google Classroom, we have a homepage where I have announcements. I'll be posting every Tuesday and Thursday, 5 minutes before class starts. I'll make an announcement in the Google Classroom, which will send it out to all of your emails. It's just a nice way to make sure that everybody kind of gets reminded, like, oh, that's right, IPC class start now. Better hop on soon. But probably the most important page of the Google Classroom for you guys is the classwork section. So this is where all of the notes, all of the videos, all of the assignments for this class will be posted. You may have seen the syllabus already. That was one of the first things that I posted in the class. We'll be talking about it briefly, kind of towards the end of the day today. All of the classes that I record will go right here in this class recordings section. So any videos that I take of me going through the notes with you guys as a class will all be posted up here in class recordings, usually within the first couple minutes of class finishing up for the evening. And then everything else in the Google Classroom is organized by week. So week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, all the way through week 8, where each week we'll have the assignments and notes that are going to be posted throughout the week that you guys are going to be checking on and completing as we go through the next 8 weeks of class together. So a lot of you guys have done this already, but you may have seen the first assignment that was posted for today was the welcome email. So all I want you to do is send an email to my email address, michael.stanley@goodwillexcel.org, with a question you have about this class or the Excel Center in general or taking classes online, or any sort of question that you might have. So if you haven't done that yet, take like 30 seconds today and just shoot me a quick email. It'll help you be able to do that later if you ever want to ask me a question about something. It's a nice little way to kind of get started with that. So the main thing that I wanted to get into tonight was this little presentation that I made to talk a little bit about the class itself and the kind of online policies that we have at the Excel Center when it comes to things like attendance and grades and stuff like that. Let's see. Annalisa, yeah, go ahead and send me an email again if you haven't done so already this term. I know if you've taken a class with me before, you've probably done it before, but I like to redo it each term just to make everybody stay up to date with that kind of stuff. So one of the most common questions that I've gotten in my emails so far is, what is IPC? What do those letters even stand for? What kind of class is this? So IPC is a science class. It's for Integrated Physics and Chemistry. IPC, Integrated Physics, Chemistry. And it's a way essentially to put kind of two related sciences into one class, into one kind of class together. Biology is a separate science class, that you'll probably end up taking here if you spend enough time here with us at the Excel Center. So in my class, my version of IPC, we focus a lot on the C part, the chemistry part, because that's what ties in most closely with biology. And then we talk a little bit about physics at the end, mostly in terms of measuring things and laws of motion and stuff like that. So today I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about myself, just to kind of help you know me a little bit more so that I'm not just this face staring at you through your computer screen. I'm going to get a little bit of information about you guys. We're mostly going to go over our class policies, so some of our kind of online policies, so that you will have everything that you need to know for term 5, so that you don't fall too far behind on any of your grades or attendance or anything like that. And then I'll talk a little bit about some of the type of content that we're going to go over in this class. So like I already said, my name is Michael Stanley. You can call me Mr. Stanley or Mr. Michael or Mr. or Sir. Some people just go really short with it. It doesn't really matter to me, whatever works best for you. I actually grew up in Texas, so I moved here to Austin when I was about 4 and grew up here. If you know the North Austin area, like 620, Anderson Mill, Lakeline, that kind of area, that's where I am from. So I grew up here. I went to elementary school here, middle school here. If anybody knows Westwood High School, that's my alma mater. I graduated from high school in 2010 and then left there, went to Texas A&M University, where I got my bachelor's degree in biology in 2014. And then after that, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. And I was one of those weird people that said, you know what? I just finished 12 years of school and 4 years of college. Do you want to know what I want to do some now? How about some more school? That sounds great. So I applied to grad schools, which is for like an advanced degree program. And I ended up getting accepted at Miami University. And I know what you're thinking, and it's not that Miami, unfortunately. You're thinking of the Miami in Florida. That's the University of Miami. Miami University is totally different. It is in the state of Ohio, specifically in the southwest part of Ohio over here. If you know Cincinnati, like the Reds baseball team or the Bengals football team, Cincinnati is like right down here in Ohio. And then Miami University, where I went to school, is right over here. The University of Miami is located in a big city and surrounded by beaches. Miami University is located in a small town and is surrounded by cornfields. So I was there for several years. I got my master's degree in biology, and it wasn't all bad while I was there. I liked the people that I met while I was up there, including the woman who I eventually would marry in Ohio and become my wife, which was pretty awesome. We had a sweet wedding. And so that was fun, but I did not like so much being in a really small town. And then also Ohio, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but in the wintertime, Ohio is cold and gray for months. Like we're talking from about the end of October to the middle of March. It's freezing, it's gray, there's a mixture of rain or slush or snow or ice, some sort of combination, basically every day. Like if you think about the ice storm that we had a couple weeks ago, it never gets quite that bad because they can deal with the ice better than we can. But it's about that same temperature for like months. And I was like, this is too cold. I can't take it anymore. I need to go back to the warmth and the sun. Luckily, my wife, who had grown up all of her life in Ohio, was also ready to leave the state of Ohio. So we moved back to Austin, back to where a lot of my friends are still in Austin. My parents are still in Austin. We live about 20 minutes away from them now. But the other reason why we really wanted to move back here is because shortly after we moved, my wife gave birth to our daughter, little baby Charlotte. So she was born right after we moved here in 2019. And so obviously it's been a couple years, so she doesn't quite look like this anymore. We got this picture Oh my God, this was about almost a year ago now. Woof, the time, man.
She is so cute.
Yeah, she's a little cutie. And so this was about a year ago, pretty close to her first birthday. And then a little bit more recent.
I think you're muted.
This was her at Christmas time. We ended up making the mistake of giving her a toy that she really liked first. And so then we tried to get her to open her other presents, and she was not interested in opening her other presents because she already had her handy dandy notebook. So why would she want to open the other presents? So we had to wrestle that one a little bit to get her to open up all the other ones. But then she was excited about it. So yeah, by the time the next school year starts, she will be 2, for better or for worse. I've heard that it's just the best age, that it's also terrible. But luckily, we're really lucky. She's pretty well behaved for the most part. And so we're doing really well. And my wife is about to graduate from the school with her PhD in microbiology, which we're very excited about. So if you think I'm smart, she's like 3 times smarter than I am. And so we're a bunch of big science nerds in our family, which is why I'm really excited to come and teach science to all of you guys. So that's a little bit about me. Hopefully now you know a little bit more than just this face wearing a mask on your computer screen. Normally, if we were like back in person in regular school, then I have everybody go around the room and tell me your name and how long you've been here and what you like doing in school and don't like doing in school and your favorite animal, because I'm all about animals. That's why I like biology. But obviously there's like 30 of you on this call and we don't have enough time to do all of that. But the one thing that I do want to know, and you can either say it out loud or put it in the chat, but I do want to know about how long have you been at the Excel Center? So when did you start here? Have you been here? Is this your first term? Did you start earlier in March or at the beginning of the year? Have you been here for over a year? Did you start sometime last year? I want to know. And so go ahead and either answer out loud or in the chat. How long have you been at the Excel Center?
I started in March.
Oh, wow. So pretty new still. Welcome, welcome.
I started in January.
Yeah, me
Okay,
too.
so you're from like the
I
beginning of the year.
January.
Oh, cool, cool.
I also started in January.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Got a bunch of January starters on it.
Yeah, this is Sherry, and I started in January as well. This is, I think this is
All
term
right.
4 for me. Yeah.
Cool.
Hi, this is Eloisa. I started in January.
Awesome. Thanks, Eloisa.
I started
2.
in August or September.
Ooh,
I'm sorry.
August. Okay, so you've been here for the whole school year.
Yeah, September.
Awesome. Very cool. So yeah, some people for the whole school year, some people started earlier this calendar year, some people just started in March. So very, very cool.
I've been here kind of like a while before COVID hit, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, so you're from way back here. Yeah, this is only my second year here at the Excel Center. So I just started last August, September time is when I started here as well. Ooh, Vanessa is hopefully going into her last term. Very exciting. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you all so much for being here. Hopefully some of the stuff that we go over today should be kind of like a review of some of the online policies and daily work stuff. And so hopefully we should be able to go through it pretty quickly and finish up here before we get on too late. Let's see where we're at. There we at. Okay, so this class, IPC, is sort of like a stepping stone class before you get into some of the higher science classes like biology or anatomy. So this is kind of a good introduction class. We don't go over anything too super complicated or confusing. But we just really start to talk about the idea of science, which is all about studying the world around us. So specifically in IPC, we look into kind of the atoms and molecules that make up the world. So we'll look at how is all the different matter, which matter is like a fancy science word for saying stuff, basically. How is all the matter in the world made up? What are all these different molecules and atoms that go into building them? How do they stick together? How do they come together to form new and different substances? What happens when they react together and one set of things changes into something else? What kind of movement do they have when they're doing that? What kind of energy are they producing? All that stuff, we'll talk about kind of the very, very basics of it in this class. So we're really going to focus on sort of the basics on how stuff in the world is made and where it comes from, essentially. So one of the big things that I wanted to make sure to talk about at the start of this class, and I like to talk about it at the start of every term, regardless of if you've been here for a long time or you're new, is the attendance policy at the Excel Center. So even in COVID times, even with remote learning, you still are required to have an 80% attendance rate in order to earn credit for this course. So if you make it to the end of the term and you eventually got all your work turned in and you get a 99% is your final grade, but you only came to like 60 or 70% of the classes, then you are not going to get attendance counted, or you're not going to get credit for the course. They do a thing at the end of the term where if you have too many absent days, they don't let you get credit, which means that you'll have to take the class again sometime later. And no one wants to do that. We don't want you guys to have to take it again. So we want to make sure that you're making it to as many days as you possibly can. So this class, as a group, we meet Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8:05 to 9:30 p.m. So every day that you're able to log on and come to this class, you should be doing your best in order to do so. Not only does it count for your attendance for being here, which is good, but also it's the best way to learn the material and make sure that you're going to do really well on your homework and on your tests. So if you can't come to every meeting, that is okay. It might just be a little bit trickier. You might need to reach out to me for some one-on-one time in order to get a little bit more caught up. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 o'clock, please do your best to come to this class if you can. On the off-meet days, so on Mondays and Wednesdays, we don't meet, but you're still expected to earn attendance on that day. What you can do in order to do that is complete your daily assignment. So every single day in this classroom, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, there will be a daily assignment that gets posted. If you complete that assignment by the end of the day, then you will earn attendance credit for that day. You'll get marked as present for the day. On Mondays and Wednesdays, that's essentially the only way that you can earn attendance credit is by doing that. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, obviously you can earn credit by coming to class, just like all you guys are doing right now, which is great. But if you aren't able to make it to class for whatever reason, you miss that lecture that day, you can still do the daily assignment that gets posted in order to make that attendance. Now you will have to do that daily assignment anyways eventually, because all of the assignments in this class count for a grade, whether it's just 1 or 2 points from like a simple daily question to 10 or 15 points for homework to 20 or 30 points for a test. Any assignment that gets posted on the Google Classroom is for a grade. So make sure that you're doing them in order to keep up with your grade as well. So again, as long as you're checking in on the Google Classroom every day, doing the daily assignment every day, and coming to class on Tuesday and Thursday as often as possible, then you'll be in good shape for your attendance by the end of the course. So for term 5, the attendance cutoff is more than 5 absences. If at the end of the term, You could have a 99% in the class, but if you have 6, 7, 8 absences, then you will not earn credit from the class. You will be denied credit. Again, that's no good. And in 8 weeks, it's pretty easy to sneakily wrap up 6 or 7 absences without really realizing it. So don't do that by making sure to do a daily assignment every day on the Google Classroom. If you complete it and turn it into me, then you are assured of getting your attendance credit for that day. If you want to keep an eye on your attendance and make sure that you're not falling too far behind, the best way to do that is to log in on Skyward. You can either reach out to your life coach, or if you're already being logged in on Skyward, that's great. Keep doing that. If you're having trouble logging in, you can reach out to your life coach and they will provide you the information that you need in order to get on. I would highly recommend getting the Skyward app and logging in if you can. Not only does it keep track of all of your attendance information, but it also keeps track of all of your grades for all your different classes. It's a really useful resource to use if you want to stay on top of your schoolwork. Now you can.
I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
Is this class like for 1 credit or half a credit?
IPC is a 1 credit course. So it's 1 credit towards your science credits.
Thank you.
Good question. So if your Skyward is really useful to use to check on your absences and grade, you can also always reach out to me and ask me directly, like, hey, how many absences do I have? Or, hey, what's my grade currently? And I'll be more than happy to share that with you, but that might take me a little while to look up. And you can do it on your own on Skyward if you want to. So again, if you get more than 5 absences, that could potentially lead to you being denied credit. So just make sure that you're checking in on the Google Classroom, coming to these classes and doing the daily assignments every day. And if you do all that, then you should be in good shape. So say something happens, you completely miss the day's class and assignment. Again, missing 1 or 2 days, not a huge deal, not the end of the world. You have up to 5 or 6 in order to still get credit. So don't freak out too much. It should be okay. The one thing that you do want to do is make sure that you go back and complete any assignments that you missed. So I'm not going to reach out to you if you're absent and say, oh, hey, I'm so sorry, Gerson, I saw you're absent. Here are all the materials and all of the notes that you need in order to make up. There are 30 students on this call right now, and there's even more in our class. So I don't have time to do that for every single student. What you can do is just look on the Google Classroom, look for the day that you missed, and the daily assignment will be posted with that date right there on the classroom. Each assignment has a due date on it, usually for the day that it's assigned. So a daily assignment will get posted at 12:01 a.m. and it'll say due by 11:59 p.m. on the same day. If you don't get it finished on that day, that's okay. You can still turn it in to me sometime later and still get full credit. So I know people are busy. I know stuff happens in your lives. You don't always get around to finishing that assignment right on time. I don't give you any late penalties or late work grades or anything like that. If you get it turned in to me, I'll grade it and get it back to you. No extra points taken off. I don't really care exactly when you get it in, as long as you get it in at some point before the end of the term. One thing that I do want to point out is that you can make up assignments whenever you have time, but they will only count for attendance the day that you turn them in. So for example, if you forget to do Monday's assignment and you turn it in later on Wednesday, I'll grade your Monday assignment. You'll get attendance credit for Wednesday, but you cannot get attendance credit for Monday. You missed Monday, that day is gone, and you can't go back and re-earn attendance on a day. So even though you might be turning in Monday's assignment later on, it won't go back and give you Monday's attendance. Yes, Alexandra, every class period that we have together will be recorded, and I'll be posting the recording on the Google Classroom. So if you miss a class day, then you have the notes you can go back to, and you have the video of that class you can go back and watch as well if you end up missing. So again, not a huge deal if you miss 1 or 2 days of school, 1 or 2 days of class. You have material available to go back and do that makeup work and get caught back up. So how is it that you can actually do this work and get it turned in? There are a couple different ways that you can do it. For the most part, people like doing their online work online. So I usually post each homework as a Google form or a Google Doc, just 2 different online versions, so you can pick which one you like doing more. Most people like doing the Google form. It's like an online survey with the questions that you can fill out. But the Google Doc, which is just like the worksheet, like you'd get it in class and you go and type in where you'd normally write in your answers, that also is available if you like doing that version more as well. If you don't really like working on the computer, if you find you work better when you have old school pencil and paper, that's totally fine. You can also print out any of your assignments and write on them and then take a picture. You can also, if you have a clean sheet of paper like this, you can write down the name of the assignment and your answers and your name. And as long as I can clearly see which answers go with which questions on the assignment, then you can get credit for that work as well. So either doing it online or doing it on paper, both ways are fine by me. Once you are finished and you're ready to turn it in, there's 3 different ways that you can turn it in to me. You can submit it on the Google Classroom. So the Google form or the Google Doc will automatically do this on the computer, or you can upload a picture of your work onto the assignment on Google Classroom. That works fine as well. If you want to take a picture and email your work to me, you can do that as well to my email address that a lot of you have already sent that welcome email to, michael.stanley@goodwillexcel.org. Or if you take a picture on your phone and you want to text it to me, that is fine as well. My number, which is also posted on the syllabus, 512-531-5457. You can text your work to me, and as long as I can read it and receive it, then you'll get credit and I'll be able to grade it and give it back to you. So however you want to complete your work and however you want to turn in your work, it doesn't matter to me. All of these are totally valid options. You won't get points taken off for doing it one way or the other. I will say the easiest to do is the Google form or the Google Doc, because then you can just submit it right there. But any one of these ways works. If there's a worksheet that you'd really just rather do pencil on paper, take a picture and text it to me, that is fine by me. I'm more concerned about you actually getting it into me than exactly how it is that you submit it. All right. So before we move on to kind of some of the next sections of stuff that I want to cover, I know this was a ton of information that I just threw at you. Hopefully, a lot of it should be a little bit of review, stuff you've heard before or done before. But does anybody have any questions about attendance, daily work, logging into the classroom, coming to the Google meetings? Any questions about any of the stuff that we've talked about so far? Yeah, Guillermo, go for it.
So the question that I have for you about the attendance and the late work. So if you don't complete it that day, it doesn't count as attendance. So that shows up as an absence?
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Exactly. So like if on Wednesday, you totally forget to log on and do the assignment, but then you go back and do it the next Monday, you'll still have on Wednesday. If you didn't log on or do anything on Wednesday, then you'll get a absence on Wednesday. But you can still get that work turned in and get a grade for it, which will go in the grade book, and in the long run is definitely a good thing. All right, good question. Larissa, what do you got?
If I have trouble, can I just like show up to the building like for in-person help, or do I need to schedule that? How does that go?
There are a limited number of spots available in the classroom if you want to come in person. You can also set up a time either with your life coach or with me to come in person and get some tutoring. So we are open to a limited number of students at a time. I would say that if you're not regularly coming on campus, then definitely reach out either to me or to your life coach if you do want to come on and kind of let us know what your plans are and what you want help with.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. Sherry, did you have a question or no?
No, I don't. Sorry.
All right, no worries. Great questions, guys. Any other questions related to late work, turning in work, absences, attendance, anything like that? All right. So up next, the next thing before we keep talking about some of this kind of policy stuff, I did want to say a little bit about what exactly we're doing in IPC class. So like I said, the C in IPC stands for chemistry, and that's where our attention is going to be focused for most of the term, especially the first several weeks. So chemistry is all about things happening down at like the molecular level. So the differences in the molecules between like a solid versus a liquid versus a gas. What are atoms and what are the different little parts that make up the atoms, from the inside, protons and neutrons, to the electrons zooming around on the outside. We'll talk about how we can bond these atoms together in different ways and how doing that creates different sets of materials. And we'll talk about how we can learn more about the atoms by looking at their spot on the periodic table. So the periodic table is this big table that has information about every single atom, every single element that scientists have discovered so far. And so we'll talk a little bit about how we can use the information on here to figure out how many neutrons, how many protons, how many electrons does an atom have. So that these first couple of weeks will be all about matter and the different ways that atoms can come together or break apart in order to make up matter in different ways. The last couple of weeks of the class, the last like week or two, we'll start to get into the physics side of it. We'll talk about the different laws of motion. So what are sort of the different fundamental rules regarding when things move, when things stop, and when things slow up and speed down. We'll talk about some of the different types of measurements that we need to take in order to calculate things for physics, including different measurements of distance and volume and mass. And if we have some time at the very, very end, we'll talk about energy in physics and how energy can be transferred from one area to another. So physics is all about motion and things moving. And so we'll start to get into different ways that things can move when we get into kind of the physics section of things down at the end of the term. So that is a little bit of what IPC has in store for us in the next 8 weeks. A couple other things that I wanted to point out while I have y'all here with me on this first day. So if you ever want to refresh on some of the stuff that we just talked about, and you don't want to go back and watch the video, and you don't want to go back to the notes that I was just going through, you can also come to our syllabus here, which is sort of like a 2-page overview of everything that we just spent the last 30 or so minutes talking about. So it's got my name, it's got my email, it's got my phone number right here. So all the good information, if you ever want to get in contact with me, is right at the top of our syllabus. It has a reminder about when we meet together as a class, which for us is Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8:05 p.m. I'll always include the Google Meet link and the reminder that I sent out about the class. That'll go to your email. But if you ever need to click on it again, you can find it in the syllabus as well. There's a section about the Google Classroom, but most of you guys, well, I mean, all of you guys obviously are in the Google Classroom if you're on here tonight. So that is good. Good job so far. There's another little section about attendance. Again, do your best to come to these Google Meets on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8:05 to 9:30. And then a reminder that even though we don't meet as a class on Monday and Wednesday, you still have daily assignments to do in order to earn attendance credit. The biggest way that people end up not getting credit for a class due to attendance usually tends to be because they forget or they stop doing their assignments on the off days, on Mondays and Wednesdays in our cases. So doing that a couple times isn't a huge deal. But even doing that once a week will end up with 8 absences, which is too many in order to earn credit. So make sure that you're completing this work on every day of the week so that you're getting that attendance credit and that you can earn your IPC credit by the end of the term. Again, if you miss more than 5 days of attendance, you will not gain credit for the class. So that's less than 1 day per week that you can be absent. There's another section about turning in your work. So again, you can fill out the online form or a Google Doc. You can print out the worksheet and do it at home, or you can write it on a blank sheet of paper. Make sure all your answers and the title are clearly labeled so I can figure out which homework it is pretty easily. And then once you get it written down online or on paper, you can turn it in on the Google Classroom. You can send a picture of it to my email, or you can text a picture of it to my school phone number. All of these are totally fine and valid ways of turning in your work to me so that I can grade it and get it back to you. One final thing I wanted to note about the grading is that the main way that you'll probably see your grades is through the Google Classroom. So that's where I'll post all your grades first, and it's where I'll leave comments explaining which questions you got wrong and what the correct answer should have been. However, Google Classroom does not have your official class grade posted on it. If you want to see what your official grade in the class is and what you've made so far, in order to see that, you have to log in to your Skyward. You can check it at any time by downloading. The Skyward has an app on your smartphone that you can download and log into. If you need help logging in, you can reach out to your life coach and they should be able to help you get on there. But your official class grade and your current attendance will be posted on Skyward for every single class that you're taking this term. So it really is a good resource to make sure that you're staying on top of all of your daily assignments and grades and attendance for your Term 5 classes. So again, all of that information is posted up again in the syllabus right here at the very top of our Google Classroom in the classwork section. Again, in the class recording section is where I'll be posting the recording of every meeting after we finish. And then earlier, I was talking about the different ways that you can turn in your work. And for those of you who haven't done it before, I wanted to give you like a little preview. So since you guys are here with me in class today, you get a little free preview of what your Monday assignment is going to look like, which is a syllabus quiz. So a quick 5-question little quiz about some of the important stuff that we talked about today. And most assignments that we'll do in this class are posted in 2 different forms. They're the exact same assignment, just in different ways in order for people to choose which one they like the most. There is the Google form version, which is set up like this, where you can go in and type in your answers to the questions. Sometimes it'll be short answer like this. Sometimes it will be check boxes. Sometimes it'll be multiple choice. Whatever question and answer type works best for what I'm trying to ask about. And then you'll fill in all of the questions. And at the very bottom is the submit button. Now, the nice thing about Google Forms is that when you hit this submit button, 2 things happen. I get an email saying that Giovanni has just completed the IPC syllabus quiz, which is nice because I can use that to check attendance for that day. And you get an email showing all of your answers to all of the questions on the form. That way you have a way of double checking your answers when I reach back out to you and let you know what questions that you missed. Also, it's a nice backup in case something wrong happens on my end and I don't get your form and I say, oh, they must not have turned it in. You can say, no, I turned it in. Here's my answers. And it says that I turned it in Thursday at 1:49 p.m. because that's when I got the email. So I like that part about the Google form because it lets me know and it lets you know as soon as you finish and submit your answers. And it shows you what all of your answers were. The one downside of the Google form is the Google form and the Google Classroom do not directly talk to each other, which means that when you submit the Google form, it does not pop up on the Classroom as submitted automatically. You have to go back to the Classroom and manually hit the turned in button in order for it not to say that it's missing anymore. If you do it on the Google Docs version, you can upload that directly to the assignment on Google Classroom, which is a nice version of it. The Google Docs looks more like a traditional piece of paper, a traditional worksheet, where you can just go in and underneath each question, you can write in your answer just like you're writing it down on a normal piece of paper. So whichever way works better for you, the form or the doc, you can do. You don't have to do them both. Some people get confused about that. They're the exact same worksheet, just 2 different versions, so you can pick the version that you like doing the most. And as always, if you don't want to do it online, you can always write it down on a piece of paper and then upload a picture of it to the Google Classroom or send it to me. Yeah, Star really likes the Google form. It's a really simple way to do it, and it's a lot easier if you're ever on the go and you're doing work on your phone. The Google form works a little bit better for work on the phone as well. Right. One final thing that I wanted to mention is that most of the assignments that you see in this class will be in that version, either a Google form or a Google Doc. Sometimes only a Google Doc because the formatting doesn't work as well with the form, but usually those ones. One exception is for the assignment that is coming up on Thursday. So those of you who have taken any Term 4 classes might be aware that we're at the very end of a writing submission period that the Excel Center is going through, where the head of the school, the principals of the school really want teachers to collect a whole bunch of writing samples from their classes in order to be turned in so that people's writing can kind of be compared over the years and the terms that they're here at the Excel Center. So this is one of the last weeks that we're going to be doing it, but I wanted to make sure to squeeze one into this class in order to collect some writing from you guys. So on Thursday, you guys are gonna have this writing assignment, not for anything super specific sciencey. I just want to know about your past experience with science classes at the Excel Center. If you've had any and what you liked and didn't like about them, or if you haven't had any, what are some things that you're excited to learn about in this class? With this assignment, there's a couple things that make it different from some of the other assignments. For one, it has to be handwritten on a piece of paper. We want to make sure that the writing that we're getting from y'all is not being helped out by autocorrect or spell check or anything like that you could use on a computer. And so we just want your pure basic handwriting in order to look at. Second thing is, please, when you turn it in, make sure you put your full name, so your full first and last name. So if it was me, I couldn't just write Michael or Michael S. or Mr. Stanley. I'd have to write Michael Stanley on my paper. So your full name and the date at the top of the paper. If you do this when it's assigned on Thursday, you'd write 4-8-2021 along with your full name. The third thing that makes it a little bit different is that as long as you get it turned in to me and it has your name and date on it, you'll automatically get the 5 points for the assignment. So I promise nobody is going to be grading or critiquing or criticizing your writing. We literally just want it so that we can read it over the years and as people move through the Excel Center to kind of compare between where their writing started at and what it ended up as. So I'm not going to be looking at it or grading it. All I care about is that you get it turned in. So as long as you get it turned in to me, try to make it about 1 page long. So just about the length of one single notebook size piece of paper. And as long as you do that, put your name and date on it and get it turned in to me, you'll get full 5 points of credit. I'm not looking at it for spelling or grammar or whatnot. If any of you really want to go ahead and get started, like Star is saying, you can. Just please wait and don't turn it in until Thursday so that you're still able to earn the Thursday attendance credit in case you can't make it to class. So yeah, handwritten in your own words, full name and date at the top. Get it turned in, hopefully by Thursday, and you'll get essentially a free 5 points on the grade book. Again, nobody's going to be grading or criticizing it. I'm literally just going to be collecting the ones you turn in to me and posting them in a folder on our Google Shared Drive for the school so that other teachers can collect them and put them in the area where they need to. So I just wanted to mention.
What if this is our first science class?
If it's your first one, then you can talk either about science classes at other schools they've had in the past, or you can also talk about if there's anything that you're excited to learn about in this class. Anything that I talked about a little bit earlier with like the atoms and the molecules and stuff that you're really interested in learning about or maybe hearing about. All right, good question. I'll go over this again on Thursday too, since that's when it'll be posted and we have class together on Thursday. I just wanted to mention it here because it looks a little bit different from a lot of the other assignments that we're going to be doing in this class. And so I wanted to bring it up to you before you saw it and got freaked out and were like, what the heck is all this? He didn't say anything about doing writing in the science class. So again, but that is coming up on Thursday. So your tomorrow's assignment is really similar to today's, except instead of sending me an email, I want you to send me a text to my school phone number. I get it forwarded to my personal number as well, so it's a good way to get in contact with me if it's something that you really want to try and reach me about. All right, so that is what we have coming up in the next couple days in IPC class. Again, if you want to reread or look at anything that we talked about today, You can always go back to the Tuesday notes for Welcome to IPC, or the video that I'm going to be posting right after class ends, or the syllabus, which has a lot of this information on there as well. All right. Does anybody have any other questions about attendance or daily assignments or classwork or turning stuff in or anything like that? Yeah, Larissa, go for it.
Okay, so I do work a full-time job during the day. And like for me to like work on all the work from all my classes at night, like I have to stay up really late, and then I'd be late for work the next day. Is there a way, is it possible if like not just, I mean, is it possible with your class, like sometimes like I turn in some work the next day, just some assignments that I do struggle with?
So one thing that you can do if it's like getting really late, like it's 11:45 p.m. and you're just getting around to your IPC homework, and you know you're not going to finish it by the end of the day, like till in the next 15 minutes. There are a couple things that you can do. You can either turn it in half finished just to get it turned in, and then leave a comment saying, hey, I'm still working on this. I'll get back and finish it up in a day or two. That's one way to get your attendance credit. You can also reach out to me if you send me an email or a text saying, hey, Mr. Stanley, I'm still working on the syllabus quiz, but I don't think that I'm going to get it turned in by the end of the night. Then that can also count as your attendance for that day. If you communicate to me about the thing that you're working on and let me know that you're working on it, then that can also count as kind of a last ditch type thing for your work to get counted for attendance. So really good question. That's a really good thing to bring up to everybody, because obviously we're all super busy. I know you guys are all working different jobs at all sorts of times of the day. So if you are worried about not turning in something and not getting it counted for attendance, then you can turn it in partially finished and let me know that it's not done yet. Or you can just send me an email or a text saying, hey, it's getting late. I'm still working on this homework, but I might not get it turned in on time. And that way you can still earn attendance on that day, even though you may not have gotten a finished assignment turned in. All right, great question, great point to bring up, especially for this class. Since we end so late, you only have a couple hours after class ends to get stuff turned in anyways. All right, great question. Thank you, Larissa. Anybody else have any questions about attendance, homework, turning in stuff, anything that we've talked about so far tonight?
A really quick question. So you're gonna keep updated with like the Skyward and stuff like that?
So it might not be Skyward might not be as updated, like as often as Google Classroom, but at least once or twice a week, I'll go on and post the last couple grades that got entered into Skyward. Usually on like Thursday and Friday of the week, I try to post the grades that I've been grading from earlier on in the week. So yeah, your Skyward grade should be fairly accurate to what your current grade is.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
No problem. Good question as well. All right. Anybody else? Any other final questions, comments, concerns before we wrap things up for day one?